Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News. This is Scott from the Nibiru channel. It is July 16th, 2017, and it is approximately 8:15 p.m. And ladies and gentlemen, I have our rogue physicist. How are you this afternoon?
I'm very well, thank you, Scott. And how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. So I guess you've been watching all of this information coming in.
Yes.
Dealing with this CME.
Mm-hmm. I have. This is, I mean, what I've seen happening today has just left me open-mouthed. I really didn't expect, well, I did expect it to be quite dramatic, but it has become even more dramatic than I thought, and possibly still today it will get even worse.
Yes, absolutely. I believe, I've been running live streams all day, as you know, and
yes.
Just one moment. Give me one moment. I want to go ahead and get this live chat started, and I just want to take a few minutes and let a lot of people get into our live stream here.
Okay.
And while I'm doing that, I'm going to go ahead and set something up here real quick. Yeah, definitely an interesting situation occurring today. I mean, you know, going back a week ago, looking into this situation with this sunspot AR 2665, you know, analyzing it, looking at it,
yes.
I could immediately tell that, you know, this was going to be a bad boy. You know, this was going to be something that we were definitely going to have to pay attention to.
Yes, I think once it had an M-class flare, then it was to be expected that it would have others. The fact that it had an M2.4 whilst facing the Earth was, of course, well, it led to these dramatic events that we are facing today. But it was to be expected. I thought that might happen. And I wrote an article about that, as you know. We'll go into it later on.
Yes. You know what, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to let all of you know, I'm not too sure if any of you know who Becky Lewis is. Becky has done some incredible research into Planet X. She's actually been privileged to capture some of the most incredible photographs, I think going back into late 2015, 2016. And then just recently, I think about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, she caught something again, absolutely spectacular in the sky. And I had a chance to email her and go back and forth. And, you know, we looked at her video footage, and things have been so busy. And at first, you know, myself and the doctor, we were thinking, oh my, that has to be possibly maybe something artificial. And then, you know, further analyzation of the video and the photographs, then the doctor's coming to the realization that, hey, wow, that massive object, that is truly a real object. It has to be. But we're going to be going into that later on. So that's just going to be a little added point to this live stream, because what Becky captured is very, very important. And I did send her an email today. I was hoping to get her on the show with us. And maybe, you know, once she gets my email, she'll get back in touch with me and we can have her on the show with us, and she can go over what happened that night, because it was truly spectacular what she caught. Now, the doctor has been analyzing the situation which is occurring with this incoming CME energy, and she's going to give us her end of what she's been visualizing all day. Now, I've been running live streams since early this morning, you know, and basically bringing everyone up to speed and letting everyone know what's happening and what's going to happen.
Yes, so, and I think you've done a wonderful job, Scott, in explaining everything that was going on. So
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. You know, it's, you know, I mean, it's something that I do on a daily basis anyways. And, you know, I mean, that's what we're here for. We're here for we're here to bring this information to everyone.
Yeah.
You know, that much is a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen because there is so much information that is coming in, and we have the live stream going. Okay, more and more people are getting in here, which is good. I really didn't have a lot of time to publicize this live stream, but everybody will actually filter in here soon enough.
Yes.
I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
Mm-hmm. Oh my. Yes, and we start off with the bow shock going very, very chaotic.
Yeah.
And it shows magnetopause collapse basically. So this is terrible actually, because we have a severe radiation hazard going into our atmosphere because of this. Oh my goodness, as you see, it goes completely haywire. And
yeah, you know, this is like the second time in the last several weeks that we've seen this type of occurrence.
That's right.
Yeah, this is insane. This literally collapses all the way into the satellite belt once again.
Yes, and at times it just folds away completely, and the solar stream goes right into our atmosphere. So it means a severe radiation hazard for our atmosphere, for our planet, for the inhabitants on the surface, because it will impact them.
Yeah, I didn't even want to go outside today. I don't think I'm going to go outside for a couple of days.
And as you can see, it seems to be impacted from several directions. Why else would it do something like this? It just folds back and folds like a concertina. Like it's amazing what's happened to the bow shock.
Yeah, this is just erratic, totally erratic movement.
Yes, it is. It just collapses basically.
You know, and you know, so many people were asking me and emailing me today on advice on what to do. And you know, ladies and gentlemen, in a situation like this, there's not much to do. You know, I mean, you can warn people till you're blue in the face. There will be some people that will believe you, some people that won't believe you until it happens. And then when it happens, people are caught off guard. And that's the reason why I come out with a lot of these reports, to let people know what is about to happen, what is happening, and the effects. And the doctor's here to do the same thing. And, you know, really, there's not any protection from this.
Yeah.
You know, these are very heavily charged particles coming from the sun. You know, that explosion, that CME on the sun, coronal mass ejection, that was a big boy. Yeah. That was a big blast. I'll tell you what,
notice how the bow shock folds back. To me, that shows that there's probably a stellar wind coming from that direction, and it's trying to oppose that as well as the solar wind.
You mean coming from the nighttime side?
Yes, that's right.
Moving in this way.
It keeps folding the upper part on the night side of the Earth, as you can see.
Yeah, we've been talking about that for quite a while now. This opposing stellar wind coming from behind the Earth, and you know, we have our theories on what is happening.
Yes.
Some people may agree, some people may disagree, because they just don't know enough, and they're not looking into this as much as we are. And this type of erratic movement, I mean, this is just, I'll just use the word, it's just absolutely insane.
It is. I think our magnetic field may be weakening, and therefore this kind of CME has a dramatic effect. And I think our magnetosphere is under severe stress because of the extra objects in the solar system and the extrastellar winds. So this is the kind of thing that happens, and this will keep on happening and possibly will get worse as time goes on, and which leads to the effects that we'll talk about, and that is increased ionization of the ionosphere and then the atmosphere, and it leads to currents inside the Earth and therefore earthquake activity. As you can see, look what happens. It's like there is no magnetopause for a while, and the solar wind comes right in, and the speed goes up to about 2,500 kilometers per second, which is unheard of. But that is only because the bow shock sort of folds away, and the bow shock is where the solar wind particles are dramatically slowed down. Without the bow shock there as an effective barrier, the solar wind particles come right in at full speed, which is why we get speed. I think I just saw 3,000 kilometers per second, Scott.
Oh, hold on. I'll stop this and we'll search all the way back from the very beginning.
Oh, my goodness.
Hey, listen, ladies and gentlemen, if some of you cannot get into the video and some of you are only able to get into the video chat, you may want to exit out, refresh your browser, clear your browsing history. I mean, this type of situation is going to cause internet problems. There's just no doubt about it. So just try that method to get in and the video. If you happen to miss this live stream, it will be processed into a video shortly after we are finished. So we're going to go ahead. What we're doing right now, folks, I'm going to be using my slider right here, and we're looking at the Y-cut. This is the actual solar wind model. This is all up-to-date time. Right over here, follow my cursor to the right. We're looking at the solar wind speed, and this is in kilometers per second. And we did hit some very, very high peaks.
Yes,
so I'm going to slide this.
2,500 already, but I think I saw 3,000 for a moment there.
You know, even 945 is very high.
Yeah, it's very high.
I'm going to just try to ease this up.
There we see high density impacting, and there the bow shock is still being effective. So there 1,300.
1352, which is extremely high.
Yes.
1905.
Yes. My goodness. That is unheard of. Just 1,700. It's unheard of. Oh my goodness.
2342.
Yes.
2182. 2392. 2000 or 2025. Look at the situation here.
Oh my goodness, look at that.
I mean, the bow shock here is lit up like the 4th of July.
Yes, and the speed on the night side is actually greater than the speed before the bow shock, and I have never seen that before. It's like the particles are streaming right into the magnetosphere and actually accelerating. That I've never seen that before.
Yeah, me either. And you know, 42, that's equivalent to close over 5.5.
Yeah, 5.7 million or something miles per hour.
Yeah, that's definitely I'm still, oh my. Hold on a second.
Oh my goodness.
2683. Okay, that's definitely got to be over 6 million miles per hour.
Yes. Let me calculate that.
2260. There it is. 3,029.
Oh my goodness.
My God.
3,029 is about 6.7 million miles per hour.
Oh my dear God.
Yes, it's
Look
unbelievable.
what it did to our bow shock. It almost straightened it completely out
Yes.
vertically.
The thing is, the bow shock is not being effective because, as you can see, the solar wind is actually faster on the night side than on the day side, because you can see the arrows are longer on the night side of the Earth. It's
Well,
amazing.
I just had to take a screenshot of this just for verification because there's going to be people out there that are going to blatantly call you a liar.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're all seeing it right here, right now. I mean, this is in live time. 3,029 kilometers per second.
Yes.
What did that come out to, Doc?
6.7 million miles per hour.
Oh, dear Lord.
Yes. I've never seen anything like it before. This is the first time. And it actually looks like the particles are accelerating after passing the Earth. And what would cause that? Perhaps an object actually pulling them in? Because why would they be accelerated? The Earth's magnetic field is not supposed to accelerate the particles. They're supposed to be slower inside the magnetosphere. So
wow. This is insane. I mean, I've never seen anything like this. The fastest I've ever seen this solar wind was slightly over 2 million miles per hour. And that was this past winter time. I think it was maybe January, February, something like that.
Yes.
I've never, ever, ever, ever seen anything like this in my entire life. Once again, folks, you're living in the sign of the times. We've gone over this information so many times before that gradually, as time goes on, the situation is going to get worse. Things are going to increase gradually. And here you are today on July 16th, 2017, and you're seeing documented proof of what is happening. This was a massive CME that came in from that sunspot. And I'm going to say this once again. From the beginning when that sunspot was detected, myself and the doctor noticed pretty extreme conditions dealing with AR 2665. Immediately, all of this was downplayed. Okay, now these are NOAA and NASA scientists that are making these observations, and they downplayed this damn thing from the very beginning. Now, here we are, okay, a week and a half later. Luckily, this sunspot moved past us slightly before it exploded. Now, there is still a tremendous amount of activity occurring with this sunspot, even though it has moved past the Earth. Okay, Doc, how long does it take for the sun to make one rotation? 24 days?
Yes, it's about 24 days, yes.
Okay, listen, folks, in about 20 days from now, this sunspot may be coming back around. It is possible.
It is, yes.
With the increased activity that we've already seen and this coronal mass ejection and everything that's going on right now, that possibility is definitely there. And we're going to have to be watching for it as the next 3 weeks go by. If we see that sunspot roll back around and there's still a tremendous amount of activity brewing, we may be in for another shot. I mean, it's reality.
Yes.
My goodness. So we are documenting right now a solar wind speed of 3,029 kilometers per second, equivalent to 6.7 million miles per hour.
That's right. And it's as if our magnetopause is not slowing down the solar wind particles at all. They actually get faster on the night side. Well, we do have the high density, and this CME seems to have combined both extreme high density and high velocities, which we don't see very often because the CME arrived in 2 days. Usually CMEs take 4 days to arrive. So this was a fast-moving CME and therefore dramatic. And I think the experts should have said that we should have said that it would be expected to cause some dramatic effects when it hit the magnetosphere. because of that, the combination of high density and high velocity.
I'm still completely amazed at what I'm seeing right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm almost at a loss for words, and you know, that's something that doesn't happen very often, as you know.
Yes, yes. It's unbelievable what we are seeing. It's I never expected. I thought it would be dramatic what would happen, because when I saw the size of the CME and I saw how long lasting the solar flare that led up to it was, I thought this is a bad one. And it was Earth facing, and it would have impacted, the high density was going to impact the Earth, and I thought, I think we're going to see some strong effects from this. But all the websites we were looking at were downplaying it, as you said. So we had to wait and see.
I looked every single day, and even during the day, morning, noon, and night, checking the reports coming in from NOAA.
Yes.
And, you know, basically they slowly moved into the fact, okay, people are watching this. You know, Space Weather was kind of even downplaying it a little bit, Space Weather Live, all of these websites. I don't understand how you can run a space weather related site.
Yes.
And not know what the deal is. Are you not making the observations yourself, or what? Because, I mean, myself and the doctor, we've been on this since day one, and we've been watching and maintaining our observations every single day, multiple times a day. Because when you have a situation like this, this is what you need to do. You have to maintain these observations, because anything can change within a split second. And we saw that. Once again, you know, I'm just, I'm truly amazed at what we're seeing. Doctor, in a situation like this, with this type of extreme solar wind, what is going to be the impact on the Earth over the next 24 to 48 to 72 hours?
Well, usually if our magnetosphere doesn't collapse, the particles will still stream in through the magnetic reconnection mechanism. But then they are swept into the magnetosphere to the night side, and then they come back through other magnetic reconnections, and they come in through the night side. They then move along the magnetic field lines to the north and south pole. They populate the aurorae ovals, and they lead to auroras down to the mid-latitudes. So that's what we would expect. That's the first thing that we'd expect to happen. But there are many more effects. For example, the ionosphere is impacted by these particles, and it's ionized. So atmospheric particles are ionized, and probably further down below what is normally the ionosphere. And that leads to currents in the ionosphere, which in turn will induce other currents. They induce currents in the lower atmosphere, which leads to severe weather patterns, cloud formations, hurricanes, tornadoes. All these things are actually electric in nature, and the current in the ionosphere will induce these kinds of weather patterns and make them more severe. And then you would also get induced currents in the power lines. You may get transformers blowing up, and therefore power grid problems. It, of course, also affects communication. It affects the high frequency propagation in the ionosphere. So it affects all kinds of communication, including, of course, GPS, and then our internet, of course, is affected as well. And then we would get currents inside the Earth, inside the outer core of our planet, which creates heat and puts pressure on our crust, leads to increased earthquake activity, and of course volcanic activity. And as you know, these things already increase to such a level that every day there are quite a few earthquakes, and the volcanoes keep erupting. So a further increase may lead to cataclysmic events happening over certain parts of the world. And this is what we are facing because of this severe space weather.
You know, Doctor, somebody just mentioned in the live chat, we're like sitting ducks. You know, just sitting ducks. If it wasn't for myself and others on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter,
yes,
mentioning this information, reporting on this information, the majority of the population, well, they're in the dark.
That's right.
And if things get worse, well, people are literally going to be in the dark because the possibilities of not having electricity, transformers blowing up.
Yes.
Well, we've seen transformers blow up and power outages with less than this. Now, I was just thinking of something. I can't wait to hear either NOAA or NASA say that this extreme solar wind is a glitch. That's what they say.
Yes.
It's a glitch.
Yeah.
It's a mistake. But we've been seeing this all day.
We have. And I think people should know that when conditions are like this, then the best thing you can do is stay at home. If you put as thick as a barrier as you can between where you are sitting and the outside where radiation is increasing, you actually working towards staying healthier. So I think that's what people should do. And I think it's criminal that governments are not warning their populations about what is happening and about the radiation dangers. Because as you can see, the radiation is coming right into the Earth's atmosphere, and it will get down to the surface. Not as much as you have in the upper atmosphere, of course, because some of it will be absorbed. But definitely you're going to get some energetic particles getting down to the surface and affecting our DNA. And this is dangerous. We don't feel it. I mean, the only thing we may feel is that our skin burns, and that is due to the radiation. But otherwise, we don't feel it when it goes inside our bodies and affects our internal cells.
Now, I've actually moved a couple of frames into the future on this predictor, or the solar wind model here.
Yes.
And this is what I was looking at earlier. I actually missed that 3029 mark, and I was looking at this 2559 mark, which was like 5.7, almost 5.8 million miles per hour.
Yes.
Taking a look at this piece of the model here, the bow shock disappears. It's basically washed into nothing. This should be a nice arch right here in front of the Earth. If you're following my cursor, it's gone.
Yeah, it's gone. And as you can see, some of the arrows at that first line on the right have turned in the opposite direction. That's a magnetopause reversal on the day side. I have never seen that before, Scott. I have never seen. It looks impossible. Why would the solar wind reverse so far from the Earth on that upper right-hand corner? It doesn't make any sense. The only reason for that is that if there is another stellar wind blowing in that direction. It's just unbelievable.
You know, Doctor, people are asking me about the effects on the human body. We did do a report some time ago on this, but let me see here. I think it was around 10 a.m., somewhere around that time this morning. NOAA did come out with the report that stated, people with psychiatric conditions should heed the warning that this type of intensity can cause increased instability in their condition. There are many other ways where people are affected by this. Now, it's all based on the individual. I know when this happens, I myself have issues.
Mm-hmm.
People can have gastrointestinal issues. People can have migraine headaches, ringing in their ears. They can also have joint pain, muscle aches, things of that nature.
Yes.
High anxiety, depression. This is just a whole host of problems that can occur with this type of impact. Now, each individual is different.
Mm-hmm.
You may end up having multiple symptoms from this, but there's not really that much clear science on, what has occurred. Myself and the doctor, we did find several articles that were written, and, she did write that report on it.
Yes.
And, it's just a very, very intense situation. It's something that I never wanted to see happen again, but again.
Yes, Scott, but it makes sense that it may affect your brain and your muscles, and because basically our body is powered by nerve impulses, and these are electrical in nature as well. So if you have currents, high currents in the ionosphere, oh my, then you are going to get induced currents everywhere, including in the human body, in the human brain. So some people may make faster connections because there are just more electrons to power the currents in their brains. And some people may have increased nerve impulses that may lead to pain. So that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of you may find this funny, what I'm about to say, but whenever these extreme situations occur, this does something to my brain. It enlightens it. I know you may find that funny or stupid, but the last time this happened, this situation crippled me for 3 days. I wasn't able to move. Every bone in my body hurt. Every muscle hurt. I had gastrointestinal problems. And then when the situation got to its most extreme, at the end of that 3 days, all of it went away. And then all of a sudden, it was like something turned on this switch in my mind, in my brain. And it was almost like I knew everything. I had a full understanding of everything. It was like that light bulb got turned on, and the intensity of that was like 1,000 watts.
Yeah.
And that happened back in December. And, I can tell that whatever occurred, it changed me. I mean, it changed me actually for the better. But ever since that situation, things have been a lot different with my way of thinking. My understanding of things is totally enlightened. And again, you all may find this very funny or not even real, but it seems that I have a little bit of a foresight into these things. And over the past 2 weeks, the doctor has actually been able to experience that in me. And it's not a very far foresight, hours, maybe. I don't want to say I can see into the future, but I have this massive intuition that something's about to occur, and it gives me that short time frame to find it and report it. Now, I'm relating that to what's happening here, or it could just be God saying, okay, listen, man, I've picked you and the doctor to deliver this information to the world population. So bingo, here, I'm turning the switch on, get to it.
Yes.
But either way, it's happening. It's happening to me. And yeah, it's very strange.
Yeah, I've seen how you suddenly know that you have to look for something. So yes, I have experienced that. It's amazing. Yes.
Yeah, it truly is. And I was thinking the other day, okay, well, let me have the numbers to that big mega Powerball and let me hit that $500 million. But that's not happening. But progressing through this, we can see massive.
Oh my goodness! Did you see that? The reversal?
Yeah, right there.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, what she's referring to are these arrows. These arrows are now going in the opposite direction. These ones are moving almost in the opposite direction. These ones are completely 100% reversed.
Oh
This
my
is just not a good situation when you go through this frame by frame. You know, when you run these models, you just run them kind of at a faster speed, and you don't really see this. But when you're really looking for something like this, you're going to have to go frame by frame. And what you're seeing now is a total reversal of the solar wind on this side of the Earth.
Yes. It's
Not good.
unbelievable. It's like the solar stream wraps around the Earth. Oh my.
Now watch, you're going to see a very intense wave. If you follow my cursor to the right over here, you're going to see a very intense wave in the very next frame. Bingo, here it comes.
Wow. That's very high density of these
And there
particles.
it just gets completely worse.
Oh my goodness. Extreme high density.
And then you can just see pulse after pulse.
And it's fast solar wind as well, because 806, I mean, it's not as high as 3,000, but it's still fast solar wind.
Yeah.
Yes,
absolutely.
look at that. That's
now, that would be what would be expected. You know, solar wind speeds 7, 8, possibly 900. You know, even moving into 1,000.
Yes, but usually we get that from fast solar wind from coronal holes. CMEs are not usually this fast, but this one we've experienced amazing speeds. Look at that, it's over 1,000 there. So we have a combination of fast solar wind and high density.
Yep, here we have another pulse coming in, maximum speed.
Extremely fast. Oh my goodness, that is so fast.
And then you see it drop off here, 1388 from you know, over 1900.
Even 1388 is a huge speed. Oh my, you see, and then it suddenly slows down everywhere. It doesn't just slow down at the bow shock. It slows down before it gets to the bow shock. It's actually the solar wind that slowed down, possibly because it's being opposed.
I mean, something has to be occurring here.
Something is happening. I mean, the speed it shows, the maximum speed is still 1,944, but the arrows look short, and that could be to do with the direction they're pointing in. But still, it's amazing what's going on here.
Here we're up to 2,417.
Yes.
The arrows have now increased their length, and just again, you know, very, very, very high density moving all through this region. It's just
it is, yes,
pretty crazy.
It's amazing.
Yeah, a lot of different levels of this density just moving everywhere.
That's right. It becomes quite chaotic, because remember the bow shock, we saw it in the bow shock, it becomes chaotic. So then the entrance of these charged particles into the magnetosphere, well, basically they can't get in because the bow shock is not doing its job. It's not slowing down the particles where they should be slowed down.
I still can't believe that we have a recorded speed of 3,029.
I know, it's unbelievable. I never thought I would ever see anything like it. I didn't even know that it was possible to get to those high speeds, but that's what's happening.
We saw it. You know, you spotted that 3, and now that I'm looking at the counter over there in the upper right, I did see that flash by. But I'm glad we documented it. I actually took a screenshot while we were talking, just for proof, you know. And like I said, folks, you know, NASA will probably come out, NOAA will probably come out and say, oh, you know, that was a glitch. Okay, well, your glitch has been going on all damn day. I'm not buying it. I'm not going to buy it. I don't even want to hear it.
Yeah,
I'm sure the trolling factions will be coming out with their Their
Yes.
stupid, idiotic videos. Matter of fact, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take the time right now to thank each and every one of the troll YouTube channels for making me so popular and spreading the word. So they've actually produced about 20 some videos today pertaining to me and the doctor, because they were ordered to get on top of the situation because we were live streaming this information, and they want to get out there and try to discredit the information immediately. They have failed.
Yes.
Once again.
That's good.
Okay, now back to business here. Now we're going to take a look at the actual magnetosphere.
Yes.
And, you know, once again, we're just going to go ahead. I'm going to slow this down. We're going to take this all the way back, and
Yes.
I'm going to walk us through this, because this may be the only way to do this to actually catch what's truly occurring. And even at this situation,
Yes.
totally abnormal.
It is. We see the magnetic field lines becoming quite chaotic as well, which is to be expected if the bow shock did what it did. Here we see the high density coming in. It's still looking reasonable, although the density is very high. And then we see another pulse come in, very high. We see the magnetic field lines start to contort, and probably, that's right, reconnect. And that means there were solar particles coming into the magnetosphere and coming back to the night side. And we see it happening over and over again. And well, that is not completely abnormal. It does usually happen during these geomagnetic storm conditions. What is surprising is when the magnetopause just collapses and is not there anymore.
Look at this.
Oh
Jesus.
my goodness, that's quite a lot of field lines entangled together. And
Now this is very unusual. I've
Yeah.
never seen a movement like this where the field lines
yes,
completely separate and form this massive opening in the middle.
I haven't seen that either. So it is strange, because usually they pinch together rather than separate themselves in this way. It sort of makes me think that there might be something separating them, like something in the middle.
Look at this.
Oh my goodness, this is totally chaotic.
This looks like some type of an abstract painting.
Yes, the field lines get totally entangled there.
Well, at this point in time, there's no bow shock.
That's right.
There's no bow shock in front of the Earth. There is no barrier in front of our planet. I don't care what anybody says, it is gone.
It is gone, and the magnetic field lines do not even seem to know where to point. I mean, the solar wind could be coming from the night side, as far as we know, from what it's doing. In fact, it might just be doing that, because we see field lines all over the place.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. All right, they're starting to align themselves in the right direction. And there's high density coming from the day side, which is from the solar wind. But that earlier image was just unbelievable, Scott. I could not tell where the solar wind was coming from anymore. It could have been coming from the night side. And there you see the magnetic field lines opening up again. And some of them align themselves on the day side. Very strange. Very, very strange.
You know, Doc, let me ask you something. I was just thinking of something. What do you think's happening to the astronauts in the International Space Station?
Well, the International Space Station is actually at a reasonably low altitude. They're at 400 kilometers. And don't forget, the geosynchronous satellite or something at 36,000 kilometers. So way above that. So hopefully they are safe. I don't know what kind of shielding the ISS has. I hope it has some shielding that keeps some of these energetic particles from impacting the astronauts. Because don't forget, if we are in danger in airplanes, then they are in danger much more, because they are quite far higher than airplanes.
Yeah, because I mean,
Yeah.
this is gonna last for more than 24 hours.
Yes.
They make a rotation around the Earth relatively quick, so there's no way to get away from this.
That's right.
It's not like they can just steer that space station and go some opposite direction. They're right in the line of fire no matter what.
That's right, they are.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be, I wouldn't want to be up there right now. That's just me,
Yeah. No, I wouldn't either. I mean, I wouldn't even like to be in a plane right now because
I would not be flying anywhere at any time in any airplane under no conditions. Absolutely not.
Yeah, because basically we have a KP index of 7, which shows that the geomagnetic storm is intensifying. I believe it's become a G3. And I always thought it might. I mean, the warning said G2, but I thought it would go to G3 and possibly even G4. But we'll see about that.
Yeah, we're going to be looking at some of that information here very, very shortly. Once again, the magnetic field lines here in our magnetosphere just completely erratic. Everything just a complete mess. But to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, this is what's to be expected with this type of situation. However, it is extremely intense. Extremely intense. And right now the time is 9:03 p.m. Eastern time, and we are probably right in the middle of the most extreme part of that wave coming through.
That's right.
So,
but we are going to feel its effects for a few days still, because especially when we have high-speed impacts, the ionosphere is ionized and creates current, and the effects last 4 days. So for the next 4 days, we can expect things to happen on our planet, like a lot of earthquakes and volcanic eruptions and things like that.
Yeah, this is going to be really something to watch. There's a part of me that just feels that, within the next 72 hours, I'm hoping and praying that, we don't see magnitude 7, magnitude 8 earthquakes. I mean, this is a tremendous amount of pressure being placed on the Earth.
It is.
Again, I'm almost at a loss for words at looking at some of this, because, our Earth is already in a fragile situation. This has been occurring now for the last 1.5 years. And seeing our planet right now going through this type of situation, it's just intensifying the situation. And as the doctor said, this is going to be affecting our planet for days, possibly even a week.
Yes, it's possible, Scott, because the kind of ionization we're getting of our ionosphere nowadays is so intense, it's so dramatic, and much more than we've ever seen. Then yes, it's possible that it will last even longer than 4 days.
Yeah,
up to a
most
week.
definitely. We're going to take a look at some of the solar weather and see what is actually occurring right here. And solar X-ray flux, geomagnetic activity. You could definitely see things are rising very close to KP index, close to the 7, right at the baseline.
That's right. Oh my. Yes, that's right. K7.
We're right at the baseline of a G3.
Yes. Yeah, that is quite strong. Yes. Yeah. Well, it might even get stronger than that, because I thought it might. And but the greatest impact on our magnetosphere is the fact that we have a very fast-moving CME impacting it. And the combination of the high density and high speed is has an even more of a dramatic effect, especially since our magnetosphere is under such severe attack, really, and finding it difficult to maintain our planet safe from these kind of energetic particles.
Yeah,
Yes.
once you're in a straight line with one of these shots, I mean, you just got to take it.
Yes. Yes, here we see the CME impacting and the density going high. As you can see, the radial velocity prediction is quite reasonable. It predicted only something between 450 and 550 kilometers per second. And that is the normal CME speed. But as we've seen, this CME had radial velocity speeds of much higher than that. Over twice that, maybe 3 times that, was the norm as the CME impacted. So this model was actually minimizing the situation.
Yeah, again, this is a predictor model also. So this model here that you're looking at, it's just predicting what's about to occur. It's almost like your weatherman giving you a 3-day outlook on the weather situation. But as you can see where my cursor is, this is our planet Earth in green right here, this little dot. This is the sun over here, and you can see the stream of energy. I mean, this is a wave. This is a massive wave of energy that occurred coming out of that CME.
Yes.
And right now we're about 1 hour into being dead center into the most intense part of this wave.
Yes.
And then it's going to last. I mean, the solar wind, this prediction, radial velocity, this is way off.
It is.
As far as the plasma density, well, that probably could have been a lot higher also.
Yes, I think it may have been actually higher than what was predicted. But definitely the radial velocity was much, much higher. So, yeah.
Yeah, that was absolutely intense.
Yeah, it was about on time. The model predicted well the time when it would hit. So I find it difficult to believe that the people who did this prediction did not realize that the fact that the CME would get here in 2 days would mean that it was more intense than usual. But they didn't say anything about that.
Well, I mean, we're seeing a lot of that over the past year. You know, I mean, the United States opened up a space weather office, signed in as an executive order by defunct President Barack Obama. We have not heard one single statement from this so-called space weather office that was written into, what do you want to call it? Written into law as an executive order.
Yes.
Where are these people? What are they doing?
Exactly.
Where are my tax dollars? I mean, that's the United States citizens. Those are their tax dollars paying for what? Some type of imaginary office? I mean, this would be a situation where, hey, how about a press conference? How about a statement? Something. Warn people.
Yes.
Absolutely incredible.
It is. I agree.
I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this, and we're going to go ahead and get to your report.
Right. So this is about Becky Lewis videoed this object, and when she first saw it, it was just a little speck. But the most surprising thing about it was that it was not moving, or if it was moving very slowly. Now, of course, because the Earth rotates and therefore goes through a complete rotation of 360 degrees in 24 hours, any object at a distance like for example, a background star, would be moving across the sky because the Earth is rotating, and it would be moving at about 15 degrees per hour. But this object that she videoed was not moving. And to me, that shows only one thing, and that is that this object has to be in orbit. around the Earth. And in fact, it may be moving but slowly, but that would mean an object that stays stationary with respect to a fixed point on the surface of the Earth is a geosynchronous satellite, basically. So this object, if it's only moving very slowly as the Earth is rotating, would be close to the geosynchronous satellite altitude, which is 35,800 kilometers, or about 22,000 miles above the surface of the Earth. So that is the first point that I made here.
Now, whenever we made our first observations, I had sent Becky an email, and she replied to the email, and myself and the doctor, we reviewed all of the video. And, you know, at first we were kind of stumped because of the length of the video camera being stationary. You would expect to see this anomaly moving away from the camera. Just like if you set a camera up in your backyard, you zero in on the moon and you just leave the camera there. 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, you come back, look through the viewfinder, the moon's not going to be there. Mm-hmm. Because everything is in constant motion.
Yes.
So, you know, whenever we were making these observations, we're thinking, okay, now this is kind of odd. You know, 28 minutes or 38 minutes went by, and the camera was still zoomed in on this object, and nothing was moving.
That's right.
But it was very, very slight movement. You know, almost, I mean, you really couldn't see it with the naked eye unless you broke the whole video down and, you know, analyzed it that way. And then you would see this slight movement, but it was, I mean, am I right, Doctor? It was kind of the movement with the Earth.
That's right. The only way that this object could possibly stay in about the same position is if it's moving with the Earth. In other words, its rotation is at about the same rate as the Earth spins. So only an object in orbit around the Earth, and therefore attached in a way to the Earth, is able to do something like this. And the altitude then is known as well, because if it's an object that stays at a certain point above the Earth, it has to have a certain angular velocity. And that angular velocity will occur for a certain altitude above the surface of the Earth, which is the geosynchronous altitude. Yes. And then I see you showed the object, because she then zoomed in into the object. And if we look at it, what does it look like? It looks like a cloud of ionized gas that is glowing. This is what it looks like to me. And it actually looks like the central part there is inside a hole in the cloud. You can almost see a hole there, and the object recessed inside the hole. That is the bright part of the object. And that to me tells me only one thing. This is a cloud of ionized gas. Where does a cloud of ionized gas that is glowing come from? Well, it forms when a star starts aging and goes through the aging process. It goes through the red giant phase. It then releases its outer layers of gas. Well, it starts releasing it already in the red giant phase. That's why it gets so large. The clouds move very far away from the core of the star. And then it turns into a white dwarf star, which has a cloud of ionized gas around it, and eventually turns into a brown dwarf star, which is a cooled down white dwarf star, which mainly emits infrared radiation. But then when these objects come into the solar system, they start absorbing energy from the sun, and eventually the cloud of ionized gas becomes ionized to a state where they can emit light, visible light again. And this is what we see. We see this cloud of ionized gas mainly emitting red light. And this would be it could be associated with a temperature of about 3,500 Kelvin. That's when red light is emitted. But we can see the object in the center, which would be the core of the star, emitting orange light. And that would mean that there are fusion reactions happening on the surface of the core. But this is what it is. It's a brown dwarf star. What does it mean? It means that possibly, if this is indeed, I didn't make this observation, Becky Lewis did. If she indeed observed what it looks like she observed, it means there is a brown dwarf star in orbit around our planet.
Yeah, that's the scary thing.
It is.
Yeah, that's the scary thing, and that is that is probably the big reason why we have so much of this damn chemtrailing for such a long period of time. You know, trying to judge the distance of this object is almost nearly impossible from the video. You know, NASA did come out. Oh, I don't even know exactly when it was. They had photographed a red dwarf, and a few YouTube channels publicized the information comparing the photograph from NASA of the red dwarf with what Becky videotaped and photographed herself. And once again, you know, Becky, if you're listening to this, get in contact with me. I want to get you on with me and the doctor, but this was absolutely fantastic. She's come up with some key captures since 2015. My hat's off to her. But whenever they compared the NASA photograph and this photograph, the red dwarf status kind of got thrown in there. So whether it be a red dwarf or a brown dwarf star, regardless, this object seems to be moving with the Earth.
That's right.
So that's critical.
Yes. And to me, that shows me that these objects, I mean, this is new evidence to me. And this evidence shows that these objects are able to magnetically connect not only to to stars like our sun, but to planets as well. So it looks like this object has magnetically attached itself to the Earth. Now, don't forget, these objects are actually, in a way, parasites. They absorb energy from other objects. And this would mean that this object is possibly absorbing energy from the Earth. And if it's absorbing energy from the Earth, it would be absorbing it from the core of the Earth. And it would be affecting our energy and the core of the Earth, and possibly affect our magnetic field. In other words, it could be actually weakening the Earth's magnetic field, which in a way is terrible, because as we can see, we would get the effects that we've just seen of CMEs having such huge impact on our magnetosphere, because our magnetic sphere magnetosphere is weakening, and it could be as a result of the interaction with this object. And we can clearly see it doesn't look like a red dwarf to me, because what I see, I actually see a hole inside this gaseous cloud and a bright object inside that hole, and that to me is a brown dwarf star. But it is emitting the same kind of light that you would expect from the surface of a red dwarf.
I'm going to see if I could zoom into that
red
one more.
light.
Let's see if I can zoom in just a little bit more.
Yes.
It will start to pixelize, but yeah, that's about the best that I could get it before it really starts to pixelize.
Yes. You can see a sort of a roundish hole, and the bright light coming from inside. It's sort of, to me, it looks recessed. It's behind where the opening is. But it is, don't forget that this ionized cloud of gas was once part of a star. It was once part of the surface of the star. It is therefore still able to become ionized and emit light like the surface of the star can. So it may look like the surface of a star. It may look like a red dwarf because it's emitting this darkish red color.
You know, Doctor, I wanted to just say one thing here. You know, considering this object, we don't know the actual distance from the Earth to this object as she videotaped it. Considering it may be hundreds of millions of miles away, this could possibly be our opposing stellar wind.
Yes, I think, in fact, it possibly is our opposing stellar wind that's coming from this object when it is in the night side. And she did observe it in the night side. Now, I say this object is in orbit around the Earth because it was stationary as the Earth, of course, was rotating. And if it is in orbit around the Earth, it cannot be too far. You know, if it's stationary, we know what altitude leads to a stationary orbit above a certain point on the Earth, and that's the geosynchronous altitude. Now, it could be this object was actually moving but slowly, so it may be a bit further away from the surface of the Earth than the geosynchronous satellites are. But it won't be by very much, I don't think, because it was basically stationary. And
yeah, it was an incredible piece of video that she recorded. I mean, just absolutely stunning. And, you know, we keep on searching and searching and searching for the answers. And we know damn well that the governments have the answers. We know that they have all of the information. We know that they have the state-of-the-art high definition photographs of these objects. No doubt about it. But, you know, once again, like I've said before, they don't want to lose control over the world populations by letting them know what is actually happening.
That's right.
One of the viewers made it very clear, perfect statement. We are all like sitting ducks, and that's the way they want it.
That's right. Yes, unfortunately, but...
Yes. I'm going to move back to the article here.
Yes, so then I start discussing what this means for the Earth. The fact that we may have a brown dwarf star in orbit and how it actually affects the sun. Because don't forget, these brown dwarf stars connect magnetically to the sun. So that may lead to a possibly increase in size of coronal holes as they turn towards facing the Earth. And we've seen that happen over and over again. So this may be the explanation of why that is happening. So if you scroll down a little bit, I think I have a picture of a very large coronal hole further down. There it is. And again, we've seen these coronal holes increase in size as they rotate towards being Earth-facing. And that is due to the fact that these objects connect magnetically. There's a magnetic connection. And they actually draw material along the field lines. The magnetic field lines connect from the surface of the sun with the object's magnetic field. And so the magnetic field lines are in a direction which is perpendicular to the surface of the sun. And then the particles spiral along the magnetic field lines. They are drawn away from the surface of the sun. So there's a lower density of particles in the corona. Which leads to what's called a coronal holes. Now, that does not mean that the sun is not emitting visible light from these coronal holes. These are not sunspots, these are coronal holes. So there's a lot of light still being emitted from the photosphere, which is basically the surface of the sun. They just look dark in the ultraviolet light that shows the corona to us.
Yeah, just like it's just stripping away this, you know, the coronal surface of the sun.
That's right.
Now this we're moving.
Yes. So this I took from what was happening today. This was showing already that the magnetopause was compressed, and it went in closer to the Earth than the geosynchronous satellite orbit, and but further on, it got even worse. This was from, I think, 1234.
34.
34, yeah. And then it got even worse later after this. And this was just the shock wave hitting. It wasn't even the full CME. And then this shows the 50 keV and 100 keV electrons and how they're coming in from the night side, because that's due to the magnetic reconnections that allows them in and then brings them back towards the Earth. And then they go into the ionosphere, and basically they create a severe radiation hazard for the Earth. And they populate the aurora ovals, which leads to aurora to mid-latitudes because of this incredibly high density of high-energy electrons.
Yeah, that's definitely intense. That's definitely an intense situation we're looking at right there.
Mm-hmm. That's
no
right.
doubt about it.
And you can see the red color is actually a deeper red color than you see on the scale.
Yeah, we noticed that the last time this happened. We were saying that, hey, this color is not even on the scale. You know,
yes.
It's something totally different that's showing up in this modeling.
Yes, so this basically indicates geomagnetic storm conditions.
Yeah, it's going to be quite interesting to take a look at further information as the night goes on. I myself am going to try to stay up nonstop and monitor the situation as much as possible. That's what needs to be done. That's just the bottom line. That's what needs to be done. Period.
Yes.
So what do you have here? What do you have here, Doctor? You have a model you drew.
Yes, I'm just showing what's happening. So if we have the brown dwarf star in orbit around the Earth, and I called it the Becky Lewis brown dwarf star because she seems to have discovered it. So we have the Earth, we have the object then in orbit around the Earth, and I have placed it on the night side there. And then what happens is the sun's magnetic field lines, which we see there streaming away from the coronal hole, would connect with that object, and that leads to the coronal hole increasing in size when it's facing the Earth. So that's what that diagram indicates. And then we have sunspots, and I guess the same. Well, there is an effect as well on the sunspots because the magnetic field of this object will interact with the magnetic field associated with the sunspot. And I would expect that might increase its activity, which probably would lead to increased solar flare activity from the sunspot and possibly more severe solar flares and CMEs coming from it when it is facing the Earth. And that's what I'm trying to show in the diagram. And I think this is what we have just observed with what happened with this sunspot group, the AR2665. And that was, we saw it was capable of M solar flares, M-class solar flares, and then we saw an increase. I think it had an M1 solar flare before it faced the Earth, and then as it faces the Earth, the solar flare sent out by the sunspot was a class M2.4. So there was an increase. And this solar flare then had the dramatic effects that we have just seen on the magnetopoles.
Amazing diagrams you have you've drawn up here today. Just absolutely amazing report once again. And
thank you so much.
Your illustration here, I mean, this is really now starting to make sense, because once again, we are constantly seeing this opposing stellar wind coming from the nighttime side of the Earth. There will be people that will say that what the doctor's proposing here is literally impossible. But how would they know? Because we've never been faced with this situation ever before in the history of mankind that we know about. Okay, so just because you put some data into a model and it expels planets out of the solar system, that's just a model. It doesn't mean that this can actually not occur.
That's right.
Okay. And now, me and the doctor, we were throwing some ideas around, and she was, really keying in on some things that are happening with CERN. And, I have my concerns about CERN and what they're doing there. So does the doctor. And,
Yes,
there is a very high possibility that what they are doing there is maybe evil on one sense. And then on the other sense, they may be trying to deflect this energy, deflect this brown dwarf, keep it at bay, minimize the effects on the Earth. We don't know. That is the big, big issue.
Yes, so, we're not sure because they obviously greatly increasing the Earth's magnetic field strength at a point on Earth in Switzerland. So that would look like a sunspot, basically, on the surface of the Earth to an object like this. What would it do? I'm not sure. It may actually make matters worse. It may actually draw this object in towards the Earth because these objects are highly magnetic, and they connect magnetically to other objects, and obviously CERN is producing an intense magnetic field. So yeah, I'm not sure what they are trying to do. They haven't clarified that they produce a magnetic field strength of up to 13.5 Tesla. And the Earth's magnetic field, I'm just looking here in my notes, is only 25 to 65 millitesla. So, I mean, that is like 500 times weaker. So, but it is at a spot. Don't forget that the Earth's magnetic field is over the whole surface of the Earth. This is an intense magnetic field over one spot on the surface of the Earth. So, but still, it would, I think it may have certain effect on what happens with this object. I'm hoping that it's actually pushing it away rather than drawing it in.
Yeah, we never know exactly what they're up to there. They do put some of their data online for people to look at, but then again, hey, once again, that could be data that they want you to see. It could be fake. It could be skewed. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, I really even hated to mention that type of information during this live stream, but now, I think we're going to be forced into possibly looking into this because once again, major discoveries, just like we, the other day when we saw the brown dwarf moving through the corona of the sun, all of the troll operations came out. They said it was a coronal cavity prominence. It was not. It was in no way, shape, or form a prominence. It was not. I don't want to hear the bullshit anymore. It was not a coronal cavity prominence. It was not.
Yes, Scott, and I think I've seen signs of the fact that not all coronal prominences are formed in a natural way. A lot of them are there because there are objects inside them. And these objects are the brown dwarf stars that are that go into the sun's corona. And the one that we saw moving through the sun's corona is not the only one. There are many more.
Yeah, and that object moved straight through, almost at a diagonal angle. It wasn't expelled from the sun. It was clearly a spherical, solid object passing right through. It even disturbed the corona of the sun by like a shock wave as it moved through. So, these trolling operations, they're trying to do their jobs, but they are failing miserably, and they're actually producing more attention to the truth. So I just want to let you idiots know that you're pointing people clearly towards the truth. Once again, Doctor, a very, very fantastic report, fantastic illustrations on this information, and yeah, truly amazed at your talent and your education. It's been a big help for everyone trying to bring some layman's terms to this is difficult science. I mean, physics is physics.
Yes, well, it's actually also new even to me, because I had to deduce what is actually happening, because I see the magnetopause collapsing. I see the coronal holes, and here I took a screenshot of what was happening with the magnetopause collapse, and here I see it's the speed that you saw, which is 2,559 kilometers per second, or about 5.7 million miles per hour. We now know that it actually went up to 6.7 million miles per hour, which is unbelievable. I never even thought it possible.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at history right here. I mean, I don't know any other words for it. I mean, you've seen it today.
Yes.
It's all out there for everyone to see. You can all go take a look at the information yourselves, and deduce what you're seeing. It's all real. It is incredible what is happening, but also at the same time, folks, very dangerous situation for us on our planet.
Yes,
and
that's right, Scott. I'm trying to understand why this is happening to our planet. So the fact that Becky Lewis came up with this kind of evidence for this kind of object, to me, immediately provided one way of explaining what is happening. This would explain it. If there's a brown dwarf star very close to the Earth, and here we see the bow shock completely collapse, move away from the Earth, leave the Earth basically defenseless, as these high energy particles come straight into the Earth's atmosphere.
Yeah, these two screenshots that you have here, very,
it's
very eye-opening, breathtaking. I mean, you could sit here and just throw words at it left and right, but what you're seeing, folks, is real life. We had a pretty good feeling that some of this was going to occur. We had absolutely no idea that this solar wind speed was going to end up in such extremes. I mean, for God's sakes, 3,029 kilometers per second. I mean, that's just history in the making, but this is just bad history to be making. I mean, I don't want to see this, but it is occurring.
Yes, definitely is occurring. And this is it. It needs to be explained. We need to understand why it's occurring. And brown dwarf stars in a solar system. I thought that there might be a brown dwarf star close to the Earth. I have written articles and looked at SETI images where it looked like there was an object very close to the Earth, and it was staying very close to the Earth. And I thought maybe it was in an orbit very close to the Earth's orbit. But now I realize that the only way this object could do what Becky Lewis observed is if it's actually in orbit around the Earth. And that would explain why it's staying so close to the Earth.
Yeah, absolutely amazing times that we are living in, some very scary times that we are living in. And, listen, folks, bottom line, the only thing we can do is we can keep up with gathering the information. That much is a fact. I mean, we just have to keep up what we're doing. I mean, that's the bottom line. We already know by now that there are no world governments that are going to come out there and tell us exactly what's happening. They're going to leave it to us.
Yes.
And at this point in time, I truly believe that each and every one of us, we're on our own. As I've mentioned before, 2 words, 2 letters, us and we. That's all we have, you know, together. These governments are not going to do anything to protect us. That much is a fact. With the current situations in just about every single country on this planet, things are becoming very dire. We're seeing it each and every day. And now, over the next several days, we may possibly see some very, very catastrophic occurrences. I'm hoping and praying that we don't. But with what we're looking at, what is happening right now, it doesn't look good.
No.
But anyways, folks, I'm going to go ahead and end this live stream because myself and the doctor, we are going to continue to gather data on what is occurring. The minute that I come up with something new, I will definitely put it together. It will be live streamed on this channel. I'm going to upload each one of the live streams onto the Planet X News channel for those subscribers or anybody that missed what occurred today on the Nibiru channel. But folks, make sure you stay with us. Check your notifications with your YouTube channel in association with my channels. YouTube has been playing around a little bit with my channels over the past week, unsubscribing people, turning off their notifications. I mean, I'm literally getting hundreds and hundreds of emails of people complaining about this. I complain to YouTube. They do not care. They do not listen. There's nothing that I could do about that. Now, we do have a website, NibiruPlanetX2016.com. All of the videos, all of these videos are uploaded immediately to that website. If you go to www.NibiruPlanetX2016.com, go to the website, hit it with a bookmark. That way, you don't have to go through YouTube. Okay? Even though whenever you click on one of the videos, it will take you to YouTube to watch the video, because that's how it is. The link is provided there with a screenshot thumbnail of the video. You know, it's just kind of sad that, you know, these big corporations, man, they're all in bed with the governments. They want to stop the information, but it's not going to happen. You know, the doctor is finishing up her book. She has 5 more chapters to complete. And as soon as she's done with that book, that is going to be the beginning of this entire investigation from her standpoint. And it's going to be amazing. Once those other 5 chapters are done, it is going directly to publishing, and it will be available immediately on Amazon. And then from that point on, we are going to start to schedule these public speaking engagements, because once we are live in person at a major hotel, banquet hall, convention center, stadium, park, I don't care what venue we have to get to, we are going to stand up and we are going to become the voice of the people, because nobody else is. Nobody else is. You know, we're getting death threats almost on a daily basis. We've had several weird occurrences over this past 7 days that have actually alarmed the doctor. I'm not going to go into them at all. You know, they want to shut it down, folks. They want to shut the information down. We, as a people, cannot allow this to happen. I'm telling each and every one of you now, band together. Unity is something that they do not want to see. And that's what we need. Doctor, any last words?
Well, thank you, Scott, again. I know that these are difficult times, but as always, I'd like to say that we have a creator, and he is still in control, and he loves us, and he would like to help us. So it's time to get to know him.
I agree. And, you know, the bottom line is sooner or later, faith is all that we're going to have left. But it is nice to know that we can have each other as backup. And once again, banding together is something they do not want us to do. That much is a fact. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I thank each and every one of you for joining us all day today on our live streams. Again, we're going to be researching some information, getting some updates here within the next hour or so. And as soon as I get the information, I will upload it into a live stream so everybody can take the time and step in and check out what is happening. Please be safe out there. And, you know, if you can, please limit your time outside, especially with children. You know, I saw an occurrence mid-afternoon today, you know, with a couple of small children, very small, 6 and 9 months old, maybe a little older, you know, in a swimming pool, little baby pool out there in the blazing sun, and the parents not having any idea what was actually occurring above them. So the spread of the information is key. And if you really do want to help, share our videos, share the live streams on your Facebook account, on your Twitter account. Get the information out there, get the word out there. That's the best that we can do. This is Scott and the doctor, our rogue physicist from Planet X News and the Nibiru channel. We both thank you very, very much. Take care.